Welcome back to Love Island, USA. Except I'm literally in Italy right now. Okay, so this is wild. So let me explain what's going on here. I don't have my big fancy podcast microphone, so I'm dealing with my voice memo, but like I guess it gives the kind of the same effect because I need to be like holding something when I'm talking, because if so, then I have to accept the fact that I'm actually yapping. But okay, basically I'm in Italy right now visiting family, and first of all, part one, which the first Love Island video did, whatever, has 10,000 views. I was like, wait, this hasn't happened in a very long time. As a flop YouTuber, as an ex-reality shifter, this is monumental. So
monumental, Beyonce.
First of all, thank you guys, of course, because yes, if you're new here, hello. That was literally the first Love Island video that I made. I'm definitely open to making more in the future, and of course, a part 2 is needed. But I do a lot more than that if you want to subscribe and if you're interested in checking any of that out, whatever. But yeah, let me show you this view because, hello, I'm in Italy right now. I already said that. And of course, as the video was picking up views, there was a lot of comments rolling in and stuff, and a lot of Love Island stuff to talk about. Some people disagree with stuff that I said. Other people brought other things up, and I was like, there's so much to talk about. And of course, the season finale was a few days ago, and I was finally able to watch it because apparently to download stuff on Peacock you need Premium Plus, so I couldn't watch it on the plane. So I was like, okay, so you hate me, that's okay. And then I had to get like a VPN because it wasn't working when we had our flight connection in the UK. So I was like, okay, so you do want me to die. Finale has been watched, so there's so much to catch up on. But yeah, regardless, I was like, I have to make a part 2 even if I'm not in my usual setup. I wanted to come out here on the balcony and speak to all of you guys, and also all of the nonnas are on their porch right now, so they're my live audience right now. Shout out to the nonnas on the porches around me. Hello. Okay, so I think that one of the biggest things that I got a lot of comments about was the Nicolandria stuff. Some people disagreed. Other people were like, no, this is my favorite couple. And let me give the update on that. So basically my initial opinion was kind of that it felt a little bit forced and not super authentic because they had super strong connections before. And then Taylor chose Clark, and then now they're both off the show. And then Cierra left for personal reasons, but she got kicked off, which, okay, let me talk about Cierra really quickly. She released an apology wearing an empathy sweatshirt, which is, okay, so she used an anti-Asian slur, and that I can absolutely not support. I talked about that in the previous video. That was very disappointing to hear, of course, and with her apology, it's not really my place to determine whether her apology is valid enough or whether I accept it. Like, it's not mine to accept. And to be honest, she wasn't one of my favorites on the show to begin with, so that was never something that I really had to look into, you know what I mean? But once again, I'm glad that Love Island took their stance on that, except the fact they didn't really say why she was kicked off. They just said personal reasons. I think it could be good for them to use it as a chance to educate their audiences and say, this is why she was kicked off. We don't support this. If you're unaware of what this word means and the negative impact of using it, then now's your chance to learn. Yeah, with her apology, she was just kind of saying a lot of like the go-to stuff in the book about taking accountability and all of that. So once again, not my place to accept that apology, but we'll see how the internet reacts to that. So far, I do see a lot of people in the comment, particularly white people, being like, oh, thank you, well said. It's like, I don't remember you being like a victim in this situation ever, but okay. Anyways, back to Nicolandria. So I will say that since watching the next couple episodes after, because the video that I filmed first, the most recent episode was episode 32. So after seeing 33 and beyond, I will say they definitely grew on me, especially in the finale when they went on their date and stuff. I feel like they do bring a good side out of each other. I think that Olandria brings kind of a nice and mature side out of Nick, but you still see that like kind of goofy side that he was showing throughout the rest of the season. And then with Olandria, I think that she's very mature, and I think depends on having, a good foundation in a relationship. And I think that they definitely starting off with friends, and the fact that they had a friendship before going into a relationship with Nick, I think that was important for her. And I think that the relationship has also brought a more emotional side to her, which I think is really good. Like when they went on the date and she was reading the messages in the bottle, she was tearing up a little bit. And I mean, of course, that was a result of her sisters and not Nick necessarily, but the fact that they approved of Nick and stuff and were rooting for her, of course, meant a lot to her. And I think it was really good to see. It's not that I was ever a Nicolandria denier. Like, I never denied that there was something there. I just denied maybe the extent at which they were portraying it for a hot minute there. But to be honest, they kind of started the relationship later on in the show. So obviously it wasn't able to be as like strong and developed as some of these other ones. So you can't really blame them for that. But then even if in the outside world, they kind of see like their relationship isn't working out, I think it's really good that they started off as friends. And regardless, they're walking out with a beautiful friendship, if not a beautiful relationship. So honestly, wishing them the best. Like I mentioned in my last video, Olandria was one of my favorites alongside chelley. Let's talk about this. Chelley and Ace being voted off before the finale was honestly gut-wrenching. I'm just gonna say it because I think that even she would admit it, or honestly both of them would, but the fact that Chelley and Ace got voted off and Huda and Chris were chosen to stay is honestly wild. And okay, I'm not the biggest Huda fan, I will admit. I mean, of course she's from Raleigh and C, which is where I'm from, so of course I want to be a little bit like, oh, North Carolina represent, whatever, but some of her behavior in the past few episodes, or just like throughout this season, honestly, I don't necessarily agree with. I will say, like some of the stuff she was saying to Chris, especially in in the one episode where she wanted to cuddle with him and he wanted to just go straight to bed or whatever, and she was like, is it worth having me mad in the morning? And honestly, like threatening somebody with like being mad the next day if they don't engage in like physical stuff with you, I feel like it's honestly kind of messed up. And I feel like everyone has different boundaries and standards when it comes to relationships, but I feel like morally that's just something that I can't personally get behind. Also, I will say that Huda has shown some behavior that may be a little bit problematic throughout the season, and I think it's valid to call that out. However, a lot of the people kind of in her comment sections or something saying like get help or like get therapy or something. First of all, therapy can be a great thing for so many people regardless of where you're starting from before starting therapy, whatever, you know? So the people saying like, oh, get help, go to therapy, like I don't think that you're doing what you think you're doing. And also people saying like, oh, you have this disorder, you have this personality thing. It's like, that's not, one, a lot of y'all are not doctors, and second of all, you're not her doctor, so or her therapist or her whatever. So I'm like, this is really not your place. And honestly, like saying this on the internet, like how is this benefiting anybody? Like there's a difference between calling out problematic behavior and then being like, oh, you have this disorder, I'm diagnosing you with this, go to therapy. It's like I just don't really do that. But back to Huda and Chris, she was literally surprised that they stayed. She was also surprised that they placed third. I feel like Huda kind of has a little bit of a following, a fan base, so I can see why they did that or like how they placed that way. But to be straight up, she's not one of my faves on the show, but I still like wish her the best. And honestly, I wish her and Chris the best because I think they both know what they want in a relationship, and I don't think either of them could give that to each other. And it's great that they like kind of recognized that and ended things. You know, it's like that kind of connection going to the finale when like Chelley and Ace were like closed off and stuff. And maybe I'm biased because I love them both, but okay, Ace I'm like very neutral towards. I do, Chelley's my girl though. So just the way they made so many cute gestures for each other and their little stuff in the hideaway, like whether you like them or not, you can at least admit hopefully that I think that their relationship was strong, and I definitely hope that it continues outside of the villa because I think they have something good going for them, which we love. But just the fact that they didn't make it to the finale made me kind of sad because honestly I was rooting for them to win it all, which speaking of winning it all, Amaya, Papaya, and Bryan, I mean, okay, I voted for them because they were my next pick after Chelley and Ace, which weren't even an option in the finale, which was really sad. I really do love Amaya. I love her humor, and I think that you can tell she just has a really good heart. I mean, this is me talking about something that I literally don't know, that I only see on TV, but I know it's a reality TV show, but like you can tell she's a good heart. And I feel like she had some different connections with the show that didn't work out so well. For example, her and Ace, they clashed a little bit, but they were able to recognize that and kind of move on. And also like the fact that they were able to joke about it later on, I think was really good. Yeah, also the family episode made me really happy seeing both of their families. I think their familial interactions were my favorite because you could tell they were rooting for Amaya and Bryan, and also them being the first Latino couple to win, I think is really special. Also in episode 35, I think, when Amaya and Bryan like did a little prank to get Hood and Chris to talk to each other, like it was really sweet, and I love that they share the same sense of humor and stuff like that can make them laugh, you know. And also I feel like the way everyone else views them in the villa is very telling. Like I feel like a lot of people come to Amaya for support and stuff like that, and maybe same with Bryan, you know, like I feel like they are there to support everybody in the villa, and we love that, you know. Next, okay, let's talk about fourth place, which was Iris and Pepe. This doesn't necessarily surprise me, like just knowing everything that I know. I'm sure if you look at the votes, which like I would love to see like the number of votes and the percentages and stuff like that. Can you please shut up? Do people think revving their engine is cool? Like, do you think it's like, oh, that's hot? Like, no. Every time I hear that, I'm like, shut up, please. Anyways, so Iris and Pepe, divas. Okay, here's my ranking in my head of like why each couple placed, why they placed. Amaya and Bryan, not only is Amaya a fan favorite, I think they had a strong connection, and like I've never seen any Bryan slander. I feel like he's really genuine and funny and supports Amaya, and we love to see it, so I can totally see why they placed first. Nicolandria, I also see why, because I think that they've been there since day one, not as a couple, but them individually. So I think people have built, as a viewer, like a connection to them individually. And also, I think I'm gonna have to go back and maybe rewatch some episodes because, you know, like Nick says they always had a thing for Landria, and it was never something that I noticed or looked out for. But I think if I were to go back and just maybe like take note of some things, it could be interesting because, you know, I don't deny that they kind of had their eye on each other like throughout this whole time. But, you know, it's just like something that I wonder about, you know. I think also they were both fan favorites. You know, like I love the Landria. Honestly, I almost voted for them, but I was just like, I love Amaya Papaya. I don't know. And then Huda and Chris, once again, I think Huda has a pretty big following, and it's just kind of been like a big topic since this season has been airing. So I think that she's got quite a decent fan base now, and so they voted for her, whatever. And then Iris and Pepe, the thing is, I think that they have a really strong connection, and I love that Iris feels that Pepe's her best friend and stuff like that and feels supported in that way. But to be quite honest, the reason why I think they placed fourth is because, and this could just be how the show is edited and stuff and how the footage is presented, but I think that they definitely had a spark as a couple, but not that reality TV spark. Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean that in a negative way at all. This is me just kind of like from an outsider's perspective of like, has nothing to do with how I personally feel about them. I just don't know if their connection on screen was super like interesting. Not interesting, that feels mean. And I don't mean it that way, but I don't know, maybe it's just because it was like a genuine connection season and they were just having a good time together. Yeah, I also wish them the best as well. And they also came on later on in the show, so it's cool to see that they, you know, were able to find their connections and stuff. I feel like that was about it. I honestly really enjoyed this season. And once again, thank you so much for all the love on part 1. Once again, I make like other videos and stuff. So, okay, if you're, I know we're in like the age of TikTok. Why is these birds being so loud? Scuttle, hello. I know we're in the age of TikTok and please shut the fuck up. I know we're in the age of TikTok, but if maybe you were brought back to YouTube to watch some Love... Girl. If you were brought back to YouTube to watch some Love Island stuff and maybe you're like, oh, I like YouTube again, definitely subscribe and let me know sort of what types of videos you want to see. So yeah, let me know what you guys want to see and I will see you for next video. Also, if you only stop by for Love Island stuff and that's all the stuff that you're interested in, that's totally fine. Maybe I'll see you another time. I'm like dragging out this outro, but I just want to go to dinner soon. I don't want my family to think I'm like ignoring them because I just like went outside to film a Love Island video. But from me and Natalia, dice ciao. Bye guys. Wait, I'm so sorry. Also go listen to my podcast and my music, link in description. Ew.